Hey, this is Ryan from Rocket SaaS, and you're listening to the SaaS Marketing Weekly podcast, the show that gives you actionable marketing strategies and campaign ideas to rocket your SaaS business. And if you want even more SaaS marketing ideas, go to saasmarketingweekly.com to join my free newsletter. Here we go again with another episode of SaaS Marketing Weekly. I'm your host, Ryan, the founder of Rocket SaaS. And in this week's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about messaging. Messaging is the number 1, 2, and 3 problem that I see with B2B SaaS startups. For some reason, they just do not know how to describe themselves effectively, how to write copy, how to write website content, and just general marketing content that helps people understand what they do, how they benefit their audience, and how to get their audience to actually convert to book a sales call. So in this episode, I'm going to go through the main problems that I see, how you can fix those problems, and also a couple of strategies and formulas that I integrate into some of my clients to get you really tight messaging that is going to help you across all of your marketing, which has such a big impact. I'll go as far as to say that messaging is the most important thing in your whole SaaS business. If you can't describe what you do and describe how you benefit your clients, there's no way you're going to get any leads. So this is absolutely critical that you get this sorted. So a lot of you might be thinking, well, I'll just get this sorted. I'll just hire a copywriter. They can do it. But I've seen this go wrong many, many times because there are many different types of copywriters out there. There's copywriters that specialize in blogs, emails, PR, but that's not necessarily what you need. If you're a B2B SaaS, you need a specialist copywriter for B2B SaaS brands. You want someone that's an expert in creating value propositions for SaaS brands and also conversion copywriting. So it is okay to outsource the copywriting to those sorts of copywriters as long as you find the right one that's got a really good portfolio. But equally, you need to put a lot of effort into this yourself. You can't hire someone externally and just give them a rough brief, get them to check out your website, do like a 30-minute call, and they're going to write amazing copy. You need to be heavily involved in this, because you have deeper subject matter expertise, product expertise than the copywriter will have. So I recommend you follow the steps that I'm going to outline in this podcast, and then you either write it yourself or you hire the copywriter afterwards. So before we go into the main problems and my techniques and tricks that I do to get the messaging sorted, I want you to do something. I want you to go onto ChatGPT and I want you to enter the prompt, describe what this business does. Then paste your URL and then see what ChatGPT comes back with. That will give you a really good indication of how good your messaging is. You might be surprised. If ChatGPT comes back to you and gives you some weird explanation that is just way off, you know that you've got a big problem with your website copywriting. I'd also enter other prompts into ChatGPT, like who is this business targeting? And then another one, how does this business benefit its customers? And yeah, you might be shocked at what you're seeing coming back. If you're seeing really bad stuff where ChatGPT gets it wrong, then what do you think your website visitors are going to be thinking? If ChatGPT can't work it out, they've got no chance. So do that as a fun little exercise. So now I'm going to talk about the main issues that I see with B2B SaaS companies and their messaging. The first one is what I call we-itis. It's called we-itis because it's like a disease. People are just constantly doing it. They can't stop. We-itis is where you talk about yourselves too much. You're constantly using the word we. We offer these services. We have these great features. We won these awards. You end up sounding very similar to your competition, and you certainly don't make your audience sit up and say, I must have this now. You need to flip these messages to talk to your customers, not about yourselves. A simple approach that I like to take is avoiding the use of the word we unless absolutely necessary. So another interesting exercise, if you go onto your website, go onto your homepage, press Control F or Command F if you're using a Mac, and search for the term we. So put space, W-E space. How many times are you using the word we on the homepage? And then look to rewrite the copy on that homepage so you're only using we once or twice. So you want to be rephrasing everything so it's focused on the prospect, not talking about yourselves. So you want to be talking about the benefits that they will receive, the problems that they will overcome, and the results that they will get. Let me elaborate on each of those with some examples. So benefits. Let's say you were a data backup company. Rather than saying, we back up your data on our cloud servers, you would flip it to say, your business data will forever be safe, secure, and compliant. Another example talking about problems. Let's say you were a HR recruitment platform. Rather than saying something like, our platform manages employee onboarding with a highly organized CRM, you would flip that not to stop talking about yourselves, talk to the audience by saying, no more wasted hours on employee onboarding, onboard your staff in 2 minutes. I'll give you one more example about results. Let's say you were project management SaaS. Rather than saying, with our system, you can streamline your project's tasks, you would flip it to say, you can create project timelines 4 times faster with an AI-generated template. So rather than having content that's just saying, we do this, we do that, we have this feature, you're saying, you can do these things with these features. Those problems you wanted to solve, those results you wanted to achieve, you can do that with our features. So you're saying a very similar thing, but the way you're flipping that messaging really speaks to the audience far more than when you're using we. One of the other massive issues that I always see with B2B SaaS brands is using large paragraphs of text within their marketing. Attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter as each year goes by. If you look at a heat mapping tool of someone actually browsing your website, you'll notice that people skim your website very, very quickly. They'll stop at all of the headers, and if they see a big paragraph, it's like, nope, I'm not reading that. I'm going to skip it. So people are literally going through your website and they're not reading it. And if they're not reading it, they're not going to understand what you do. If they don't understand what you do, they're going to exit the website. You're not going to get that lead. So this is really critical that you get people to actually read the content. But how do you do that? You need to take those long paragraphs and simply make them much, much shorter. It can sometimes be as easy as splitting them out into individual sentences, but I find the most effective way is by using bullet points and icons. That is a great way to turn your content into bite-sized chunks that's really easy to digest. The final issue that I see with SaaS companies and their messaging is being vague and unspecific. I hate this. I see it all the time. Super broad, vague messaging. For example, I might come onto the homepage of a fintech business and the header will say something like, pay staff faster and easier. It's like, yeah, but like, what does that mean? If you're going to grab people's attention in this very competitive world, you need to be specific. You need to tell them exactly how you're going to do it. It's not easy to do it in a headline because you've got such a limited number of words, but it can be done. So to take that example of someone that says, pay staff faster and easier, I would change that to say something like, pay staff in 6 seconds with 3 clicks. You can see how that is so much more appealing. If I was like a CFO or a bookkeeper, I'd be like, wow, I can pay each member of staff in 6 seconds with just 3 clicks. I'm intrigued, as opposed to pay staff faster and easier. It's like super broad, super vague, not that interesting. Using numbers and percentages and stats is a great way to get specific. So let me give you another example. Let's say you're on a website homepage and you saw this as the header. Stop wasting time sending invoice reminders. It's not a bad header because it references the pain point of wasting time, but it's still very broad, very vague. I would change that to say, save 4 hours a week with invoice reminder automation. So that suddenly grabbed my attention. 4 hours a week? That'd be amazing. And it's told me how it's being done with automation. The previous one was just very vague. So you can see the difference. Being specific gives your potential customers a clear understanding of the benefits that they'll receive from your products and services, as opposed to you just sounding like everybody else. So have a real key focus on making your copywriting specific and to the point. Now I'm going to tell you about the messaging matrix. This is a really good exercise that I recommend all SaaS startups do if they're struggling with their messaging. So the messaging matrix is a table. The table has got 3 columns. Column 1 is pain point, column 2 is solution, and column 3 is message. So you should have multiple rows. Start by writing the pain point in each row. So it's obviously a pain point that your customer is suffering from. So you should be able to write between 5 and 10 pain points quite easily. Then in the solution column next to it, write your matching solution to that pain point. And then in the third column on the right, that's where you write the message. So the message should be a combination of pain point and solution. And you want to write that in just 1 sentence. And by the way, ChatGPT is pretty good at writing that sentence for you. So if you give ChatGPT the pain point and the solution, ChatGPT can give you a pretty good message. But I don't love ChatGPT's messaging. I think it's okay sometimes. I really recommend you try and write this yourself first. Only go to ChatGPT if you're struggling. So let me give you an example from one of my clients called Backup Vault. They're a data backup provider for UK businesses. So we created this messaging matrix. I've got it in front of me here. So in the first column, one of the rows is a pain point that says, customer is worried about phishing and ransomware attacks. The cell to the right is the solution cell. where we've written immediately recover your data after a phishing/ransomware attack. And then we put that together in a 1-sentence message in the right-hand column, which says Backup Vault is your first line of defense against the impacts of phishing and ransomware attacks. And we've got 10 of those messages, and we put that together in a PDF, which is like a messaging Bible. So if anyone in the marketing department is creating content, whether it's social media content, website content, emails, ads, we can always refer back to this document because this is the 1 sentence that we often use to describe each of the pain points. You can obviously deviate away from these messages if you want to, but it starts as a really good starting block, particularly when someone new is joining the company as well. Okay, now I'm going to start talking about hooks. Hooks are so important across all of your marketing. A hook is called a hook because it's designed to hook somebody in. If somebody's just scrolling the website or scrolling through their LinkedIn, they see your ad or they see your content on your website, you want to hook them in to get them to click on the ad or to get them to fill out the form on the website. That's why it's called a hook. A hook is typically within the header. So let's say if it's a bit of web page content, it's going to be the H1 header on the page, or if it's an ad, it's going to be the main headline on the ad. If it's an email newsletter, it's going to be the main header at the top of the email. It's going to convince people to continue reading it. It's the big text that people are going to see first. That's the thing that's going to make them decide, okay, I'm going to read the rest of the text on this asset. So I've got 4 different categories of hooks that we at Rocket SaaS always use as our go-to hooks. And I've got a few templates for each of those hooks. I'm going to share some of them with you today. So the first one is to be benefits driven. You want to tell your target audience exactly what they're going to get if they try your product, or if they book a demo, or if they become a customer. So one of my favorite templates is how to get benefit without objection. So let me give you an example. How to triple your website traffic without increasing your ad spend. So you can see if I just had a headline that says how to triple your website traffic, I'd be thinking, yeah, but they're probably going to make me spend more on ads. But it's like, no, without increasing your ad spend. So now I'm intrigued. I'm like, okay, well, that's an amazing result. And I don't even have to do that. Brilliant. Another great template is X ways to get benefit. So you'd obviously replace X with a number. Numbers work really, really well. Numbers are really eye-catching. When you use numbers, it makes people think, this is going to be really easy to read. It's going to be bite-sized chunks. It's not going to be a long form article. I can just skim through this. It just makes it very, very enticing. The second format that we like to use, or second category, is to ask questions. Questions make your content more engaging. If the user has the same question floating around in their head, they'll be drawn to your content. A couple of examples, one being, how do you finally get rid of pain point? Another being, struggling with pain point? We found that one was the most successful hook here at Rocket SaaS. Our most successful ads are always the ones that say, struggling to get SaaS leads, ? And then we have a subheader that describes whatever content that we're trying to promote. And that type of ad always gets the most clicks. So asking a question often works really well. It connects with people on an emotional level. They're like, yes, I've been struggling with that question myself. I'm going to click on this thing. Another good one would be statistics. Again, people are really drawn to numbers. They're very eye-catching. They're very specific. They also stand out. People are just drawn to numbers. So examples being things like 1 out of 10 people, ... Or 30% of people with pain point experience ... And the final one, which I think is arguably the most powerful if you can get it right, is using social proof. So let your prospects know that there are people just like them experiencing the same things that they want to be experiencing or solving the same problems that they want to solve. With your copywriting, you can show them how these people overcame these problems, pain points, challenges, or received these great results. So one of my favorite examples would be company name doubled their revenue in 6 months using our solution. Or another one to make it even more personable, John used to get 5 leads per month. He now gets 25 with our solution. It really humanizes, makes it sound real, rather than you just promoting your services, talking about yourselves. You're talking about somebody else that got this result. And that's always very enticing for people to click on. People think, I want that too. I'm going to read more. So those are some very quick examples around how I go about improving messages for my B2B SaaS clients that are really, really struggling. Just as a quick recap, I would ask ChatGPT to tell you what it thinks your business does. That's always really interesting. I'd stop talking about yourselves all the time. Stop suffering from we-itis. Start talking to the audience. Start talking to them and about their problems, their benefits, not about you. Remove all the large paragraphs of text from all of your marketing materials because people are just not reading them. Break it down, bullet points, icons, and be specific in your copy. Do not be vague and broad. Be to the point, does what it says on the tin. Far better than vague, broad buzzwords. Also, create a messaging matrix with pain point, solution, description. And then finally, work on some killer hooks that is going to hook people in. Benefit hooks, asking questions, showing statistics, using social proof. So there's a quick recap for you. If you want to dive deeper into this sort of thing, subscribe to my newsletter at saasmarketingweekly.com. I'm regularly sending out newsletters on how you can improve your messaging, as well as different templates and formats and philosophies that I use with our clients. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe. Please give it 5 stars if you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you next week.